wish I had some cheese and crackers and a few beers. Have a real good time. Boy, I just can't get you off the stage. Really?
It was only talking the whole time.
I almost went to the bar for a drink.
And you didn't bring me back anything.
No, Derek, once you give him a mic and a stage, and you can't get him off. I mean, I've seen him in improvisational situations, and I feel sorry for the actors on the stage. Anyway.
I won't do it to you.
Well, he and I he's like my son. And we've had a wonderful relationship for about, over 20 years now?
Close, yeah.
We're close to it, yeah. So we travel around doing a little act together.
And I'm honored to be by your side.
Well, thank you so much.
Aww. Just so you know, some of them have hangovers, so they're not like really with it. But it's okay. So, Billy, this is our little Star Wars retrospective on this Q&A. So we have some questions that we want to ask you.
Oh, by the way, people, my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm really honored. Really fantastic. Thank you so much for showing up. Goodbye.
I'll have Fritz answer the questions for you. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. You can relax. We're not really. All right, so Billy, you were introduced into the Star Wars saga in The Empire Strikes Back. Would you mind telling our friendly audience here a little bit about how you and Kersh met and how you got the role?
Well, at that time I was gaining quite a bit of success in movies, and with Brian's song, which I was nominated for an Emmy. And Mahogany and a couple of other films. They were putting this production together, and the Empire Strikes Back, and they came to me. They asked me to play Lando Calrissian. So, unlike most situations where actors have to go to somebody's office and audition and go through all of those machinations, I didn't have to do that. I had the director come to my house, Kershner, and we sat and talked about a lot of different things, including Eastern philosophy, which I was very much into at that time, Buddhism, and Kershner was very much into Eastern philosophy. And so we really established this real camaraderie and rapport, and that's pretty much how it all came together. So.
And you had never worked with Kersh before. That was your first time?
No, and Kershner, to me, is one of the most extraordinary people. God bless his soul. One of the most extraordinary people I've ever known in my life and worked with in my life. I mean, he was one of the great masters of the film genre. So I was very, very, very fortunate to be able to have a relationship with him. He did major stuff. People, I don't know if you know much about Kershner's life and his career as a filmmaker, but he was a pioneer. So to have him as an actor, to have a person like that in your life is really a fantastic experience.
And I bet, if I'm not wrong, a round of applause, I bet you all agree that Kersh directed the best Star Wars movie?
Well, then the general consensus has always been that Empire was the best of all of the three movies, and I think I agree with that, especially since I was introduced to it.
All right, so Billy, you get given the role, and you get the script, and you've got to do some character development, you've got to make some choices. And I think you told me some of that came from a very distinct piece of costuming, is that right?
Yeah, well, when I saw that cape, I thought that was, that really just did it for me. It was a key to developing my idea of what the character should be. You know, because I always like that sort of bigger than life, kind of swashbuckling, kind of roguish kind of individual. You know, who's charming and lovely and handsome and all that sort of stuff. When I used to be handsome, you know.
No, you still are.
Young and lovely, but that cape really did it for me. You know, I was thinking about people like Errol Flynn, and you know, all of those old characters back in the old days, in the 40s and the 50s. So,
Do you find yourself now getting out of the shower and throwing your robe on as a cape and just?
I'm afraid I've not gotten that far yet.
All right, so you've developed...
I know, that's something you would do.
Totally. I was running around last night. I just don't have a hangover. So you've got the role, and now you're going to be part of George Lucas's universe. And so I want to touch on George just a bit. I know that you were a fan of THX 1138. So once you got the role, and you're working with George and Kersh, what are your... You know, tell us a little bit about their differences and how George works versus Kersh works.
Well, I always think of George as a concept person. He comes up with great, fantastic ideas. He's brilliant with that. And I think he recognizes that, I think he has more freedom when he hires somebody else to execute his ideas. And he usually tries to look for obviously the best people to execute his ideas. Sometimes, most of the time, I think probably it works. I don't know if it works all the time. But he is basically, I think, a concept person. And really, and I never realized it, but I think he's really a money-oriented person too. I mean, he's really interested in profit.
You know what Kersh said, Billy? This is
he's a real business person, man.
Kersh, when George asked him to do Empire, I don't know if all the fans know this, Kersh turned it down 4 times. He didn't want to do it. And George brought him into an office and showed them the concept for Skywalker Ranch and said, if you do this movie, this will all be a reality. And Kersh went, well, I guess I better do it, and he did it. But that's a little inside story for all the Star Wars fans out there. So you've got the role. Oh, wait. You were talking about George. Do you want to touch a little bit on Kersh's directing style?
Well, Kersh is, you know, basically, I think he's a real good actor's director. And I think that was really quite apparent. Because I think when you think about as opposed to the Empire Strikes Back, as opposed to, let's say, even the newer Star Wars movies, where there was an awful lot of CGI and a lot of technology involved, I think it's, in my opinion, and even though it made billions of dollars, I think it suffered because he hired a bunch of really good actors, but sometimes when you get sort of involved with all of this technical stuff, it overshadows the directors. Now, in Empire Strikes Back, I think it was more actors-oriented, or people-oriented. What's the term I'm looking for?
Yeah, you've got it. Yeah. And good clap, guys. Go. If he says something you like, let him know.
The whole human exchange. I mean, even with the Wookiee and all of those creatures, I mean, they all had a sense of humanity about them. So, I think.
And they were tangible. They were physical. They were real. They were props, and your eye knows the difference.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So now you've got the role. You're working with George and Kersh. Your first day out in London, out on these massive sets. The Millennium Falcon was actually, full scale. Did you get it? Millennium Falcon is a full scale.
I just wanted to upstage him for a minute.
The Millennium Falcon is a full scale prop. and you're there. What was it like to walk in on those sets and... Is your mic broke?
I just want to upstage you again. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I don't care. So you walk in the room and there's the Millennium Falcon and these other massive sets, Cloud City. What was it like, and how did that add to your character development to actually have those tangible pieces?
Well, I guess, when you walk into a situation like we shot all of this at EMI, I believe, EMI, yeah, L Street in London. And I, both times when I did both movies, I spent about 4 to 5 months away from home doing these movies. But when you walk into a situation like that and you see all of this incredible stuff that these people put together, one of the things that you begin to think about, at least I can begin to think about, is same thing when I did the Batman movie and I saw Gotham City. You see the craftsmanship of what these people that we don't, they're sort of unsung heroes in a sense. I mean, people who really do all this incredible work that nobody hears anything about, They're these craftspeople, these artisans. And I was just absolutely amazed at what I saw. I saw bits and, we worked on about 3 studios, big, huge studios. And where you had a full version of the Millennium Falcon, and then you had bits and parts of the Millennium Falcon for particular shots that they wanted to do. So it was quite impressive. And also, the thing I always found myself visiting the young people who were behind the scenes, who were involved with all of the technology, the computers and everything, working out all of these logistics. So I found myself really interested in those people. I mean, I'm not crazy about actors, I don't like to be around actors too much. I'd rather be around other people who are much more interesting.
Plus, it's probably good not to piss the people behind the scenes off, since they do make you look good, right? So, has anyone ever been to a movie studio? Yeah, so just a few. So Billy, just to give them a concept, using this room as a guide, would the Millennium Falcon have been in a room bigger than this, the same size as this? Give them an idea of how big those studios were.
Yeah, about like this or bigger.
Or bigger.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that, guys? Yeah, no. There you go.
But we'd always have our little tea breaks at about 4 o'clock. English tea breaks are really very funny. They give you 2 pieces of bread with something in between, a piece of cheese, and you say, "What is this? What?" This is going to sustain you for like about another 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. But anyway, it's really interesting. The English are very interesting people. The Brits. My grandmother was a Brit.
That's cool.
Nellie Button, Annette Nellie Button, who died a Britisher, never became an American citizen in her 80s. She was an interesting woman.
Are there any other shooting differences aside from these tea breaks between like the US and the UK? Like any other nuances, or do they do things differently in the UK than here in the US? Or is Hollywood filmmaking Hollywood filmmaking?
Yeah, I think pretty much so. It's just a different sensibility. I don't know how to really describe it. But instead of Americans, they're
Brits. They talk with an accent.
Yes, they do talk with an accent. That's the other thing, the accent thing is like something that, unless you're there, you don't realize. But I've worked with Brits. I started working with the Brits back in 1960 when I did a play on Broadway with Laurence Olivier's wife, Laura, and Angela Lansbury. A Taste of Honey. It was a wonderful play by Sheila Delaney, who was a British playwright. But the accent is, you know, you don't think about it. You know, just in the United States, you know, when you go to the movies, especially years ago, you just hear a standard English accent. But it's all regional. You know, you go to the south or the north, or you go east or wherever. In London, it's all different. You know, and a great deal of time. Well, you just always, you think you're going to understand what's being said, but you don't always understand what's being said. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating to travel. It's fascinating to get out and see the world and meet people and experience different cultures, you know, and the way they do things. I've been very, 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 very fortunate in that way. To have that in my life.
What's the best place you've been internationally?
Well, we were up in Mexico City, and I'm a big fan of the Mexican muralists. Diego Rivera, Orozco, Sigueros, and that was one of the most fantastic trips I've ever had, especially when I saw the works of Sigueros. It was unbelievable. In fact, when I think about it, I get emotional about it now. I wept, literally wept, looking at his work. It was so monumental. But that was certainly on the top of my list as far as the trips are concerned.
Have you guys ever been to Mexico and saw what he's talking about? That exhibit you guys have? You know that one that's in the room? Oh, Roscoe, excellent. Scott has, really? You go. Did you bring any bananas with you? All right, Billy, so you go from the best Star Wars film ever, The Empire Strikes Back, to Return of the Jedi. But for the people who are not Star Wars fans in the audience, they shot Return of the Jedi under the name Blue Harvest. And Billy's going to share with you why, and then he's going to tell you that it didn't work.
Well, it's just very simple. I mean, they always tried to keep everything under wraps, and, you know, big secret. And even the actors didn't get full scripts, you know, because they didn't want to divulge any details about what was being done or shot. But interestingly enough, when Star Wars fans know everything. It's amazing to me. You know, we were called a Blue Harvest company, and but everybody knew about it, even to the point where people were actually literally flying around in airplanes, you know, checking out what was going on. We were shooting out here in Arizona, in the desert. But I found that really quite interesting and quite funny.
And now you go on to Arizona, and they have new, interesting sets. Not quite as simple as the Millennium Falcon. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Return of the Jedi was very interesting. It really kind of was an insight into George Lucas's mind, because I don't know if you remember, a lot of the characters all had a sort of a sexual connotation. You know, there was the lady with the 6 breasts walking around, you know, on the set, and I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. And then there were even Jabba the Hutt with an appendage. You know, that character. What's the name of that character?
I don't know. What's the name of the appendage that hangs down above him? Salacious?
Salacious, yes. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, there was the Sarlacc pit, which was...
They all know.
I said, George, wow, man. Interesting mindset. But it was like innuendos, you know, it was like subtle. It was subtle, but not, it was, I don't know what you, yes, subtle, but it was interesting. It was very interesting.
So now we flash forward.
You know, it's one of those kind of situations where, you know, for me, that's how you present art. Whether you're painting it or whether you're putting it on screen, is to what pulls people in, what makes people pay attention. You know, I always use the analogy, you paint your broad strokes, which is obvious to the eye, and then you paint your nuances, your subtleties, and which pulls the spectator into the moment. And I think that's a very clever way of making people pay attention. So I even try to do that in my paintings. I call my work like abstract reality. What I mean by that is real as things are, they are as abstract, which gives me a lot of levels to play on. So I'm giving you what is obvious to the eye, but at the same time there are things going on that you sit and you wonder what it is, and you sort of bring your own experience into it.
So now, we flash forward, and Star Wars is not dead by any means, right guys? And part of that is due to Billy keeping Lando alive. And what are your choices in your career for doing that? As we saw Star Wars Detours, and he's in the new Lego cartoon now, keeping Lando alive now. Tell us about that.
Well, I guess it's a bit of an ego trip, I suppose. Most characters I've done, I've made them indelible characters. You know, I've succeeded in doing that, and I always feel like nobody else can do it the way I do it. And the reason why I feel that way is because I don't approach things in the obvious way. I don't usually go with sort of stereotypes, cliche ideas. I believe that if you're an individual, there's something, as each individual is unique, and they have something unique to present and offer. And I've always lived my life in a very eclectic way since I was a child. That's how I was raised by my parents and my sister and I. And my experiences have always been really eclectic experiences. So I see myself as a universal entity in this life. I see myself as a world person. I don't like the idea of people imposing on me what they think I should be. So that's how And I think when you're a creative person, you should never allow anybody to impose what they think you should be. So I always try to present my characters in every situation I do, even through my paintings, in my own unique fashion. Win or lose, it's the way I see it and the way I do it. And so far, I've lost a few, but I've won quite a few too. So. But I think it's really important in my mind to, I'm a kind of a person that takes this idea, takes that idea, and I put it into a third point of view. I'm a person who lives the third point of view. And because that third point of view moves your ideas, your thoughts, the way you approach situations, forward further into the universe. It's time. I'm sick. I get bored when people talk about race, for instance. Black, white, this, yeah. It drives me crazy. I don't live my life that way. I don't want to live my life that way. I belong to life. Yeah.
Star Wars has found a new home at the Disney company. How do you feel about that? Is it a good home?
Oh yeah, I think it's perfect. I mean, there's DreamWorks, and there are places that do all this stuff. I mean, places like that. Certainly Disney has had the reputation for doing fantasy stuff, and it's a perfect place for it. And certainly, I think a person like J.J. Abrams is is a perfect person to oversee this kind of experience.
And do the fans agree with that? Yeah. There's a lot of rumors out there right now about the original cast coming back, and I know it's a burning question. I'm going to preface this next part of the question with the answer. Mark, Carrie, Harrison, and Billy, none of them have signed contracts. So it's all rumors, just so you know. However, we all want them to come back, right? I don't think it will be Star Wars without them.
My idea actually is to come back with a daughter who's a Jedi. A beautiful daughter who's a Jedi.
So if J.J. Abrams is watching any of the videos that are being shot, that'll be 10%. But here's where you guys help us out. We want you to Facebook, blog, Twitter, that you want to see Lando in the next movie so that JJ gets a hold of it, okay? Because you're going to make it happen. And we have this new thing on Twitter now, #BringBackLando. So if you guys are on Twitter, #BringBackLando. And if you want to follow Billy on Twitter, it's @RealBDW. You can get out your phones and put that in right now. @RealBDW. But bring back Lando. We want to do that. Twitter it, Facebook it. Find where JJ lives. Send him a letter. His office, not his home, please. But I think that would be great. So we've got one more fun question for that kind of sums up Star Wars. But we always get asked this one question, and Billy and I have two answers, and we're each going to give one. But I'm gonna preface it before you guys all come up and ask it. Why was Lando wearing Han's clothes at the end of The Empire Strikes Back? So which answer do you want to tell me? Because we've got two great ones.
You give yours.
Okay, I'll give mine. It's actually that Lando owned the Millennium Falcon originally, and Han stole his clothes. Or
they were lovers.
In the room, in the dark, they put on the wrong clothes. Are there any fans out there who have a Star Wars question? Now is the time to do it. You don't put your hand in the air. You're going to come and see this lady in the black outfit. Make a little line. We're only going to have time for about maybe 5 or 6 questions. If you have one, get in line. Now, just so you guys know, normally Billy doesn't talk about Star Wars that much. Did we do a good job with the questions? Did you learn something? Okay, good. And I'm actually going to save these for a future show, Billy. All right, now remember, when we ask a question, we state our name and then the question. Please, sir, go ahead.
My name is Christopher. Billy D. Williams. What is it like to be the coolest cat in the Star Wars universe?
I don't think about things like that. I'm a silly person, basically. I'm a walking absurdity. Maybe that's the secret.
No, he's not a walking absurdity, is he? No! Yes, sir, go ahead.
It's easier to be a walking absurdity.
Is that the secret to being cool?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try it.
Especially at my age. You can get away with anything. Say anything, get away with everything. I loved when Clint Eastwood, at the Republican convention. I thought it was masterful. I don't care what anybody said. He's at that point in his life, he don't care. What the hell does he care? What do you want to say? You know? It's okay. You just you get patted on the head, put in the room, and lock the door. You know? Don't let him out anymore. I'm sorry.
My name's Zach, and huge fan of the series, huge fan of Lando. You do an amazing job playing the role, must admit. And I'm pretty sure this is a question that's been going on in a lot of the minds of the Star Wars fans, and it's been juggled around in the universe a lot with recent discussions and such. But what are you anticipating for Star Wars Episode 7? Is there anything you would want to see? Some sort of storyline you'd want to follow through? Or,
Are you not paying attention? He said he wants a daughter. Sit down! We love you.
Okay, I like your hat.
My name is Jerry, and I know you've done some work with Robot Chicken, and I absolutely love all your roles that you played in that. The one particular scene that really stuck out in my mind was in the grocery store, and someone goes, "Hey, you're Lando!" And they all kind of jump on you for being the villain of the Star Wars movies for betraying Han. So does that ever actually happen to you? Like you're just out and about, and people like just jumped on you for like betraying Han and everyone?
God. For years. It never stops. When I used to pick up my daughter from school when she was little, at the schoolyard, the kids would run up and say, "You betrayed Han Solo." On the airplane and the stewardess, "You betrayed Han Solo." I once had a little boy who was about 10 years old. He had a gun in his hand. I would have been dead.
That was the best Q&A question because it was a little 10-year-old kid. And he was right in front, and he didn't ask a question. He didn't state his name. He just went, "You betrayed Han Solo. You betrayed Han Solo." And then he stood there and waited for Billy to say something.
Scared the heck out of me.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Pruitt, and I think it was season 3 or season 4. You were in an episode of Lost, where you
Played myself playing a killer, yes.
Yeah, and did you not meet J.J. Abrams then, or was he not there for that episode, or?
I'm sorry.
Did you meet J.J. Abrams then? Because I know he helped create Star Wars or Lost. So did you get a chance to meet him then, or have you ever met J.J. Abrams?
No, I didn't meet him then, no.
Okay, I was just curious because I didn't know if maybe you had met him before, because I know he was like one of the biggest creators of Lost. So, but I was just curious. I'm sorry. It wasn't a
Well, interestingly enough, that the Lost, many years ago, back in 1970, I think 1970, 71, with Lloyd Bridges, he and I did a television movie when they were doing television movies at the time, called Lost Flight, and it was about people who got marooned on an island from an airplane crash. So I'm sure that they must have taken that idea. Look it up, you'll see it. You can look it up, you'll find it. Lost Flight, Lloyd Bridges. Boy, he was something. Boy, was he in good shape. I was a lot younger than him, and I had to keep up with him.
All right, so my name is Thomas, and outside of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, what is your favorite role? What is the favorite time you played Lando Calrissian outside those two movies?
My favorite role?
My favorite time you played Lando Calrissian?
Oh, meeting Princess Leia. Hello. What do we have here? The other one was standing up to Darth Vader for about 3 seconds, and then I realized what I was doing. What's that line?
That was
This deal is
getting worse.
This deal is getting worse all the time. Well, see, people don't realize that. They keep thinking I betrayed him. I was trying to figure out what to do. I mean, Lando was trying to figure out what to do. He was running an empire. He was like running Las Vegas. He was like Steve Wynn. And all of a sudden there's my friends and his friends, and there's right behind them there's Darth Vader. And I'm saying, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. And I did lose everything. People don't think about that.
out for a minute. I don't usually do this, but I want to see if any other Star Wars fan has ever picked up on this. When he confronts Darth Vader and then he says, "Do you have a problem, whatever it is," and he's like, "No." Doesn't Lando act like he knows that Darth Vader does the chokehold thing? How would he know that? Did he watch the first Star Wars movie? Do you guys get it? Or am I the only one that thinks that?
No, I think
Yes.
Hi, I'm Christy. I wanted to say you read my mind earlier. I was going to ask you to say that. So I think I just wanted to say...
Hello, what do we have?
I just wanted to say that was something I always really admired about the way that you did Lando. You had such charisma and everything was so effortless for you, whereas I feel like a lot of other actors really have to act like they're doing it.
Io penso che tu sei meravigliosa. Bella.
Hi, I'm Javi. I have one question for you. Everyone knows you call Han Han. Is that just like your own
I never
accent
figured it
for
out.
it?
I never figured it's Han. Yeah, but I don't know why I keep resorting to Han.
Are you hungry when you say his name?
You make me feel stupid.
Security, take him out of the room and beat him.
Hey, I'm Michael. I loved your work for Colt 45. Use Colt 45 and enjoy it.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you. It works every time.
Hello, I'm Dave. First off, I want to say I forgive you for betraying me. But what was the original deal that you were trying to set up that keeps getting worse and worse?
With Darth Vader?
Yes.
Well, I was trying to prevent the complete demise of all of these people with my friend and his friends. So I had to set something up. I did it. Nobody died.
I don't know, you did freeze him though. I don't think he was too happy about that.
I was dealing with Darth Vader. You understand?
Oh, he's a big wuss.
I'm John, and I was just curious how much fun you had selling fried chicken for the man.
I really enjoyed doing that. That was fun. That was good. Yeah. I think I could have done a lot more with the character. That's always my feeling. But I enjoyed that. That movie was a very funny movie.
There's no one else kneeling down there? Oh, go, get in line, guy. Where's that Colt 45 guy? Do you have any on you now? You do? Do you have it? You're apparently drinking it. Do you have any on you? Oh, because we were all going to go party in your room. Gas stations in Atlanta sell Colt 45. Cool.
Well, I don't represent Colt 45 anymore, so I don't care.
Oh, you broke his heart. He's going to cry.
My name is Brian, and you've done guest stars on Robot Chicken and Modern Family, both as Lando and yourself. Is there any show on TV you would like to guest star on that you have not already?
You know, oh, Big Bang is my favorite show. The dialogue is some of the most brilliant dialogue I've ever witnessed. And those actors, that ensemble cast is just amazing to me. It's scary to me. That whole situation scares me. Sitcoms, they're not easy to do. They're very hard to do. You got to be really quick. And not so quick a lot of the time. Yeah, that would be certainly one of them. But there was something else I was going to. I forget what it was.
Yeah! Oh, I'm going to do it right now.
But I'm very happy that people are talking about nerds. You know, I did that nerd show with Bobby Carradine. I went on there and they asked me to come on and to be a judge, and I really enjoyed that. But I'm glad to see nerd shows. You know, I'm sick and tired of all this violence and craziness. You know, it's nice to talk about smart people, intelligent people for a change. You know?
Hashtag Lando on Big Bang. Is that what you said? Hashtag Lando on Big Bang. We're all going to start doing it when we leave this room because there's no reception in here.
I'll tell you, if I didn't have my back is gone out on me now, but if I was a little bit younger, a show that I find the people who do Dancing with the Stars. That is absolutely, totally amazing. For those people that did it with a cane. That's an idea.
They could shoot you from the feet up and put roller skates on you. It would be fine.
But I find those people absolutely, those actors who are capable of doing that stuff, I mean, it's just amazing to me. But that would be certainly a show I would love to do.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Billy, my name is Michael. Since to piggyback off of the betraying Han, I wanted to ask where you kind of weighed in on the clerks debate on blowing up the second Death Star and destroying all the construction workers who were working on the second Death Star. And has anyone confronted you and blamed you?
No, you're the first, jerk. Sit down.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
They were getting paid by the Empire. They knew what they were doing. He was basically saying when you blew up the second Death Star, not only did you blow up like the Emperor and all that, but all the workers.
What are you, some kind of wise guy?
You know what? I'm really sorry. We're going to end it with that because that was just brilliant. If you have more questions, Billy is going to the Walk of Fame right now. That's where you can get autographs signed. If you didn't get a question answered, come on over and have a chat with us. Give it up for the coolest man in the galaxy!
Thank you. Bless you. Thank you.